ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply. Alright guys, so today is a little bit of a tale of why you shouldn't mess with your tank when you're on a plane. What's going on guys? Devin from ReefDudes. So a little bit of a backstory. Yesterday, I was headed out of town for work. I'm sitting on the plane ready for takeoff. I'm looking at my tank. I'm like, oh, my elk's a little low. Let me do something about that. So I opened Fusion. Of course, this is like looking at my cell phone. I had crappy data. Should have been the first red flag. You know, there's 1 bar of service. And I'm like, okay. So I flicked the dose onto on, counted for about a minute to let it dose a bunch of elk, and then turned back to auto. Everything looked good. So I thought, you know, close the app, take off, everything's good. Coming back home tonight, or I guess rather last night, I checked on the tank, and the dose was still on. So I left it on all day and dosed about 3.5 liters of elk to the tank. So my elk went from 7.8 to 14.78, which is almost double. That is a massive swing, super sketchy. So yeah, first lesson, don't mess with your tank when you're on a plane, especially if you have really crappy cell data. So the surprising thing is I came home and everything looks normal. The fish look fine, the corals look fine. I can't see anything that is showing signs of stress. So hopefully there is some hope here. When I first got back last night, I did 6 buckets of water change. I mean, what's that, like 25, 30 gallons of water change. And then of course, this didn't have a ton made up. So now I am making more salt water and gonna do 45, 50 gallons a day and hopefully knock that back down to a normal happy range. Now, I also did turn the lights off for now. I don't know why, I just feel like for some reason it would be better not to have them photosynthesizing with the higher elk. But looking at the coral, like I don't see anything that's R-tanning, S-tanning, turning white. Like in general, everything I'm gonna say looks normal despite my massive elk swing. Now, it's possible there may be some future follow-up, but I'm hoping, you know, if it's, you know, within 24 hours or so, it gets back to a semi-reasonable range, that things will be okay. But in general, all the fish, everything else looks happy. I'm not seeing any coral stress, so that gives me some solid hope for nothing catastrophic hopefully happening here. And last night I started making this 50-gallon drum worth of water and just waiting for the salinity to catch up now. Or sorry, rather the temperature. So we're at 19.9 degrees. The tank's at around 23.8 or something. So once I get up to at least 22 or 23, then I'll start doing a big water change on it. But yeah, so that's the current state of the tank. So I am going to give it an hour or so to let the water heat up some more and do another massive water change before I turn the lights and everything back on. And then we'll do another update and see how things are doing. Hearing the stars in there. I've been sucking these guys out off the glass. I get it, tons of them. So probably do another bucket or 2, but this is probably the biggest water change I've done in ages. So I'm sure it doesn't hurt. Look at that, coral's poking out of the water. It's like a true low tide. All right, gonna fish off a couple more buckets and get this baby refilling. Super quick clip of low tide on the reef. And let's get this baby filled back up because some of the corals are out of the water. So now time for the refill. For this, I tend to use the Sice RCJ Ultra Zero. Works nice and well, sucks from the bottom, and this little hook is amazing if you have one, definitely worth it. The time has come to refill the tank, and hopefully that makes a decent dent on the alkalinity. So seriously, if you guys have the Ultra Zero or you just have to refill the tank, this little hook off the side makes it so easy. No risk of water falling out or like dropping your hose, making a mess. That and this little like on and off switch, super duper handy. Now as refills, we are ending our low tide. Now the lights were off the whole time, minus about 2 minutes or so just to snap a couple quick photos while we were in low tide mode. So hopefully this makes everything in the tank happy and gets my elk back down to a reasonable level. Now on the bright side, this is probably the largest water change I've done in ages. So there is an upside to everything. All right guys, 50-gallon water change done. The lights have been on for a couple hours, and so far everything is looking happy. Last night it was at 14.68. That is very high elk, at least for me. I normally keep it around 8, 8.5. So after my 6 buckets, it was down to about 13.38. Now after my 50-gallon water change, now it's down to just over 11. So I think it's 11.1 or 11.08. So now my calcium reactor is off, my kelk's off, elk's off, basically everything's off. I'm just gonna naturally let it fall over the next day or two until it hits back to 8.5. and then I'll add on my other dosing stuff again. So far, everything is looking surprisingly vibrant. Nothing looks stressed, so finger crossed there's no long-term fallout from this. So lesson learned, if you are not looking at your tank, it's best not to mess with it. If you have to mess with it, make sure you have a solid internet connection. That is definitely a lesson for me on kind of tweaking my tank, especially when I'm out and about around the world. So yes guys, hopefully crisis averted from my crazy elk swing from 7.8 to 14.8. 70 kg is crazy big. So generally, if something happens in a reef tank, I would generally want to coach it back slowly. But with elk, I feel like that one was better to hit it quicker. Now another note, I did leave the lights off during this period of trying to correct and get it back down. In my mind, it seemed like a more reasonable thing just to stop it sucking up alkalinity. I don't know why, don't know if there's any legitimacy to that, but that's what I did. And so far so good. All my fish look happy. The corals, polyps, everything's out. So I'm gonna call it hopefully so far so good. Yeah, I really did expect more things to be upset. So I hope it was just the speed in which I corrected it that is going to save things. So it's probably a little over 24 hours as elevated levels. I mean, to me 11 is still elevated, but it is much better than just shy of 15. The only little bit of potential I see there is the edge of my red planet is white, but I believe that is from the Goniopora stinging it because it has killed it off in the past from the tentacles. So we'll keep an eye on it the next few days, but I'm pretty sure that's just from the Gonies. But as far as I can tell, everything else is looking pretty good. Hopefully this little bit of chaos has helped and give you guys a bit of insightful and some inspiration to not make the same mistake. As always, if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to hit that like button if you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I'll keep you guys updated on how the tank progresses.